Hi everyone, thanks for coming back for part 2. I'm going to go over this table and all the terms that come up in this matrix in just a minute, but I just want to point out some other interesting connections, which I believe may be connections with Hanukkah and the scriptures. And in my last video, I had pointed out how in John 10 verse 16 is where it mentions where Jesus said, "And other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd." And so this is the restoration of the temple. It's the two becoming one, the Jews and the Gentiles being joined with Christ. And this comes up in verse 16, which I thought was interesting. But there's another interesting connection that actually comes up in John 16 that I wanted to show you. And over here, if you start out with verse 16, it says, well, Jesus said, "A little while, and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father." And then in verse 17 it says, Then said some of the disciples among themselves, "What is this that he saith unto us? A little while, and ye shall see me, and again a little while, and ye shall see me, and because I go to the Father." They said, therefore, "What is this that he saith, a little while?" We cannot tell what he saith. Now Jesus knew that they were desirous to ask him, and said unto them, "Do you inquire among yourselves of that I said, a little while, and you shall not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me? Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice. And you shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. A woman, when she is in travail, hath sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for the joy that a man is born into the world." So this is talking about the coming of Christ, and it's also talking about the tribulation that's going to come as well. But it's interesting that it mentions over here a little while, and you shall not see me, and then again a little while, and you shall see me, because this is exactly what it says in Haggai 2. So if you go to Haggai 2:20, it's actually in verse 6, which again, you see that number 26 and 27 that comes up, which I've talked about, seems to relate to the coming of Christ. So starting in verse 6, it says, "For thus saith the Lord of hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory, saith the Lord of hosts." And the desire of all nations, of course, is Jesus, who will come. And the house of glory, of course, is the temple of God. So this is all talking about the restoration of the temple and the coming of Christ. And it comes up in verses 2:6 and 2:7. And the clue here, I believe, is a little while. And then if you go back to John 10 or John 16, verse 16, is where it mentions a little while. So I just thought that was interesting, because this is the year 16. But I believe this year also reduces down to 27 based on gematria, because if you take out the 0 and add the 1 and the 6 together, you get 7. So it would reduce down to 27, which also reduces further down to 9 if you add the 2 and the 7 together, which means judgment. And then another connection that I wanted to point out is that it was during the Feast of Dedication. As it says here in John 10, verse 22, it says, "And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter." And I thought that was another interesting clue, because if you go to Matthew 24, where it's talking about the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, and this is the beginning of the tribulation. And over here in verse 20 it says, "But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day." And I was thinking about this verse right here, because I believe this verse has a dual meaning. Of course, it's talking about the people that would remain on earth, that would be fleeing to the mountains, which I believe that there's people that are going to be literally fleeing to the Mount of Olives when the Mount of Olives is split, when Jesus comes back and sets foot on the Mount of Olives, just like Natan explained in his testimony. There's going to be people literally fleeing to the mountains for refuge, and the refuge, of course, is Jesus. Jesus is represented by the Mount of Olives, which represents the temple of God. It's talked about in Zechariah 4. It's talking about the same thing in Zechariah 14, but I believe it will literally happen as well. But the flight, where it says, "But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter," or your escape, I believe this is also talking about the rapture. And I just thought it was interesting, because there's another way to interpret this, because Jesus said to watch and pray that ye be accounted worthy to escape the things that are coming to pass. Over here he's saying, but pray that, so that your flight, your escape, and this word right here means will happen. I'll show it to you right here. It means that it will come into existence. It will come to pass. So he's saying, pray here, or watch and pray, so that your escape will come to pass in the winter. Pray so that your escape will not come to pass in the winter or on the Sabbath. So there's two ways to interpret this. Jesus is saying to pray so that your escape will not come to pass in the winter. In other words, if you pray, then your escape will come to pass in the winter. So if the fact that it's in the winter is an established fact, this takes a whole new meaning. He's saying watch and pray that your escape takes place when it comes time for the escape in the winter or on the Sabbath. That's just, I believe it's another way of understanding this sentence. But I'm going to go ahead and go over the terms in the table over here. In this one, you can see I've added some more terms. I put in blasphemy, Obama, and then I added the terms Satan, fall, star, earth, man, sin. And so over here, you have man coming up in the yellow, and then sin is meshed in with the word man in the green. You have the word fall coming up in the bluish lavender with the letters F, A, L, L. And over here you have the word Satan coming up in the lavender with the letters S, A, T, A, N. And it's interesting where the word Satan comes up, because it's coming up where it says, my Father who hath given them unto me is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of the Father's hand. And so right over here is where you have the word Satan. So it's like God is saying that God is greater than all, even greater than Satan, and even Satan is not able to snatch them out of his hand. And it's interesting that the word God comes up here as well, and I'll show you that. It's further down in one of the other tables, but it also comes up in that verse, which actually I'll go ahead and show it to you. It's right here in this last one. I put blasphemy, Obama, Jesus, God, snatch, elect. So it's interesting how all of this comes up as well, because right over here where you have the word elect coming up in the green, see the letters E, L, E, C, T, and you have the word snatch, which means rapture, comes up right next to the word elect. You see it again here, it's actually crossing through the word elect. The word rapture or snatch is crossing through the word elect. And then right here where you have the word God is where it says greater than all, because God is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of the Father's hand. I and the Father are one. And that's where you have this three-letter word strategically placed right where it says greater than all. This is where you have the word God, G-O-D, who is the Father and who is greater than all. So even a three-letter word comes up precisely where it should come up in the table. Okay, so I'll just go back to this one now. I also had the word star, which was coming up here in the blue. You see the letters S, T, A, R. And so this word star is coming up right where you have the word stone or stones. Of course, there's going to be stones falling from heaven. And there's Jesus, who is the precious stone, the chief cornerstone that's going to destroy the image. He's going to destroy Satan's kingdom. He's the rock that is made without hand that breaks down the image, which represents Satan's kingdom. So you see the word stone coming right through the word star, and the word stone actually comes up several times in this table. You see it over here. And then you also have the word earth coming up in the green with the letters E, A, R, T, H. And in this next table, I put in the word head because Jesus is the headstone of the temple, the chief cornerstone. And so you see over here, you have the word head coming up in the yellow with the letters H, E, A, D. And again, you can see how the word star, which is over here in the blue, how it crosses with the word stone, which comes up several times in the table. Okay, and this one I added the word horn because, of course, the Antichrist is called the little horn in the scriptures, in the book of Daniel, and you see the word horn comes up here in the green, coming at an angle, right above the word blasphemy, right above the word Obama, over here in the pink. And then in this one, I put the words sun and dawn, because of course there's going to be the true morning star, the son of the dawn, which is Jesus. He's a true morning star. But then Lucifer is also called the son of the morning or the son of the dawn. And you see the word dawn comes up here in the green, going through the name Obama right next to blasphemy. You see the word dawn with the letters D, A, W, N. And then you see the word sun up here in the yellow at the top, the letters S, U, N. And in Islam, they believe that the sun is going to dawn from the west, that the Antichrist is going to come from the west. And you see the word west coming up here in the green, right in the word Obama, and right next to the word dawn. And in this one, I put in World War III, and all of those came up. You see the word three coming up here in the green, the letters T, H, R, E, E. You see the word war coming up right next to it in the yellow with the letters W, A, R. And then the word world comes up in the plain text over here in the light green. And I'm about out of time, so I have to continue in the next video. Thank you.